listed Grand Rapids as one of the best cities to start a business, second best in the country, but 51 out of 52 for African Americans financially, or 122nd out of 180 some cities for Hispanic entrepreneurs.
A couple years after Rodney King and the LA riots, I was pulled over on my bike by an East Grand Rapids police officer while riding home from a friend's house at night. As I was crossing the street, he cut me off with a squad car and asked me, did the bike belong to me? And where did I live? Through a trembling voice, I told him I lived around the corner and he could follow me home if he wanted. I almost lost control of my bladder then as the images of the LAPD officers brutalizing Rodney's body came racing back into my mind. That was a seismic shift in my awakening to my blackness. I was no longer this cute brown boy. I was a threat. The new identity would be a reinforced time and again over the years. White dads wouldn't acknowledge me when I'd come to pick up their daughters on a date. One went so far to even remind me that there are Christians who believe that the Bible does not condone intermixing of races.
There are a lot of environmental challenges that Black people face because of systemic discrimination. And when I say systemic discrimination, I'm talking about the intentional taking away or withholding of access, resources, opportunities, things like that.
To light that the systemic racism that both African American and other marginalized communities face is very real. Communities of color are deeply impacted by this inequity. And as a result, if you are, currently reporting to work, or if you're employed right now, you'll notice that many employees of color, especially, are very emotional, we're stressed, we're disengaged, feel the need to cover more than normal, right? So we're not as happy at work, we're not as motivated, things like that. The Harvard Business Review wrote an article called Toward a Racially Just Workplace. Compared to the white peers, African Americans with the same credentials are less likely to be hired, developed, and promoted, and our lived experience is noticeably worse. So African Americans face many types of racism: aversive racism, modern racism, interpersonal, systemic racism, and then we also deal with a lot of microaggressions.
I realize each time we share stories of struggle and oppression, it is like slowly pulling a scab off a festering wound. And it can be empowering, but at the same time, it can also be traumatic.